So before I begin, I'd like to ask you a question. How would you like to know with complete certainty that you've got all the money that you need to be financially secure for the rest of your life? And what about another question? Not only would you like to have enough money and enough certainty for the rest of your life, but how would you like to be living out your dream retirement, your life 2.0, the new version of your life? Well, if you'd like to answer yes to those questions, you're in the right place. But maybe at the moment you're thinking, am I on track to have enough money in retirement? Am I on track to run out of money at a time in the future when, maybe when you're in your 80s and you're no longer able to return to work? Or could it be the reverse of that? Maybe even worse. You're on track to become the richest person in the graveyard, having lived out a life where you didn't fulfill all of the things that you were able to do. And perhaps you're wondering, I've got pensions and investments and savings and those sorts of things, but are they really working as hard for me as they possibly could be? Am I really getting my money to work as hard for me as it should be? And perhaps you've got the money side of retirement sorted. Maybe you've organised yourself sufficiently well and you do know that you've got enough money for the future. But perhaps you're worried about, when I stop working, how am I going to spend my time? Am I going to be bored? How am I going to keep fit and healthy? Am I going to become a shadow of my former self like so many other people that you meet? And maybe you're worried about how you could leave a legacy to the people that you care most about. So if this is where you are at the moment, where would you like to be? Well, imagine a time where you did know that you'd got all the money that you needed to be financially secure for the rest of your life. So money is now no object. And imagine a time where you knew that you were getting the best returns possible for a level of risk that you're comfortable with on all of the money that you'd worked hard to put aside. And imagine you are living out that life 2.0, the dream retirement, ticking off the bucket list as you go. Living with a dynamic and flexible income that meets your needs to deliver what you want in that future. So if this is where you are at the moment, and this is where you'd like to be, would you agree that you might need a new strategy to get there? And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today within the Wealth Workshop. Because this stuff is so important. You work your whole life, or working life, to put aside enough money to be able to take time off, to be able to have the Life 2.0, the enhanced version of your life. And yet, if you don't do this right, if you get ripped off by life insurance companies or get bad advice, then actually you could be working for your entire life. If you don't get this right, it's going to massively impact you, but also massively impact your loved ones. And of course, there's never been a more important time to do this. We've never had such a long run of low interest rates and interest rates that are lower than inflation. So if you leave your money in the bank, it's being eroded by inflation. It's going down every year. There's also been never been a better time to do this, though. There's never been a better time to plan your financial future. We all have smartphones, we all have amazing technology now, and that technology can help us plan a better financial future in a way that's never been possible before. And there's also never been more flexibility with your retirement funds. With pensions, we've had so many changes that give you far more flexibility that can deliver a better retirement for you. But with flexibility comes complexity. So there's never been a better time to do this. And of course, this doesn't just impact you. This impacts the people that you care most about as well. I want you to imagine, just for a minute, that you've left this earth and you're looking down on your loved ones, the people you care most about. And they're opening up that lever arch file or that box or whatever it is that you keep all of your financial information in. Did you leave them a legacy? Or did you leave them a liability? So this stuff is really important. And what we're going to cover in the Wealth Workshop is going to help you create a better financial future for you and the people that you care most about. But you may be asking, who is Charlie Redding? Why should I listen to him? So before I go any further, I want to tell you a little bit about where I've come from. And to do that, I want to take you back to 1999. Now, would you agree that the decisions that we make in our life have a massive impact on our future? Well, in 1999, if you've been with me on a Friday afternoon, we'd have been sat in Russell Square House in central London. Big open plan office. We've got the smell of stale cigarettes and caffeine in the air. And this was a testosterone-fueled atmosphere of a sea of guys in white shirts, pinstripe suits, a bit like a scene from the film The Wolf of Wall Street, if you've seen it. So this commission-hungry sales atmosphere. And in amongst that was me, a farmer's son. Now, Friday afternoon was always sales meeting with Bigsy, this big Ron Atkinson lookalike, bald-haired, overweight, again, pinstripe suit, white shirt. And Bigsy would be saying something along the lines of, "Next week, you will sell more. I don't care whether you're on the phone to your gran, your mum, or a complete stranger. If you guys don't sell more, you're out of here." I remember saying to Matt, my best friend in the industry at the time, and by the way, Matt was always the trendiest guy in the office, the only guy that had orange striped suits. And I said to Matt, why is it all we ever hear about is Bigsy and these targets? We've been giving financial advice now for about a year, and I've really enjoyed helping people save for their future, protect their family, get their money working harder for them. And yet all we hear about is selling more products, flogging more stuff. Surely there's got to be a better way to do this. And 4 years later, I was with Matt again, this time in the Chucker Bar in the Langham Hilton on Regent Street, again, central London. And it's a beautiful old colonial bar. We've got polo sticks on the walls, and it's just a beautiful old bar. And I said to Matt, it's 4 years since we left Bigsy. And okay, we're now giving independent advice. So we're not selling one company's product, but really all we're doing is still just selling products from the whole market, aren't we? Has anything else really changed? And Matt said to me, "Charlie, I agree with you, man. I've had it with this industry. I've been reading this crazy book by a guy called Tony Robbins. I'm quitting." Great. So I found a job I love. I'm in an industry I hate. And my best mate from the industry has just quit. Have you ever had a time where you knew you needed to make a big decision, but you really didn't know where it was going to take you? This was my time. So I want to fast forward now to 2011. And this time I'm in the Excel Arena, Docklands, East London. Big, huge arena. And I'm surrounded by 6,000 people. But the lights are dark. And these people are screaming, shouting, yelling. Because I'm at an event called Unleash the Power Within. This is the most famous event by a guy called Tony Robbins, the author of that book that Matt had given me all those years before. And Unleash the Power Within is most famous for its firewalk. So over the course of that 4 days, yes, I walked across burning hot coals. But actually it wasn't the firewalk that changed my life that weekend. It was what's called the Dickens process, which was in amongst the darkness with the screaming and yelling on that Sunday night. And out of the darkness comes Tony's voice. Now Tony's this big 6'7" American guy. He's got teeth bigger than I am. And out of the darkness comes, "I want you to imagine what your life will look like 20 years from now. What decisions are you making today that are going to shape that life 20 years from now? Because it's in our moments of decision, our destiny is shaped." And initially I had to get over the feeling of, I think I've joined a cult here. But once I got over that, I stood there thinking in my head, "Charlie, it's 5 years since you set up your own financial planning business, Efficient Portfolio, and it's doing really well, and it's going great. But what's 20 years going to look like from now? You're working every hour God sends, You've got a wife and 2 children, but you're not really seeing them. You're 3 stone overweight. What's life going to look like? And I could see myself in a 1-bedroom flat, surrounded by pizza boxes, guts hanging over the side of the chair because I weighed 20 stone. Efficient portfolio had long since folded. Carol and the girls had left me. And I realised that wasn't the life that I wanted. I knew I needed to make some big decisions. And Tony said something really interesting over the course of that weekend. He said, if you make the same decisions today as you made yesterday, you'll get the same results tomorrow as you got today. What decisions are you making today, but expecting a different result from? What decisions could you make that could transform your life 20 years from now? So again, I want to fast forward to one more story, because I left Unleash the Power Within with this amazing new lease of life. I knew I needed to change my approach. I changed the approach that we took within Efficient Portfolio, and we became a more profitable company as a result. But I also massively changed my work-life balance. And as a result, I got back my time and spent a lot more time with my family growing up. And I also got back my health, and I shed that additional 3 stone. In fact, nowadays I compete in triathlons because I've got myself into shape. But this final time I want to tell you about is when I was in my Rutland office, which at the time was a converted barn on the farm. And we looked out of the meeting room windows and we could see red kites in the sky and hares playing on the ground. And I'm in my meeting room with a long-standing client of ours, a guy called David. Now David's a bit shorter than me, a farmer, so he always came into the office with his flat cap on, he'd left his wellies at the door. And he said to me, Charlie, it's time for me to stop work. It's time for me to retire from farming. And thanks to your help, I know that I've got all the money I need to be financially secure for the rest of my life. I know that the financial bit is sorted. But do you know what? That isn't what worries me the most. What worries me is how am I going to spend my time? Am I going to be hanging around the house all day getting bored? And how am I going to stay fit and healthy? I've always been out on the farm, and that's always kept me, in good shape. But have I got to start going to spinning classes in Lycra? What am I going to do? Well, I said, David, I've got some news for you. Because this morning, this huge box arrived at our office, and in that box were the first copies of my new book, The Dream Retirement: How to Secure Your Money and Retire Happy. And I'd like you to have the first copy of that book, because the first half is all about the money side of things, but we've been looking after you from a financial perspective for many years now. So you'll kind of understand most of that. But this isn't the first time I've heard people with these concerns. So I'd like you to spend more time focusing on the second half of the book, because that's where we talk about how you should spend your time and how you should improve your well-being once you've stopped working. Now, David was a very special client to me. It wasn't just that he was a long-standing client right back to those Bigsy days, but it was also because he's my dad. So my dad got the first copy of my book, literally at the time he was retiring. And that book led to a little bit of a roller coaster of success for us as a business. I started getting featured on national radio, in national newspapers and on industry magazines. I got asked to share the stage with some internationally renowned speakers. An Efficient Portfolio is now known as one of the top financial planning practices in the business, or in the UK. You don't need to take my word for that. That's what some of our industry magazines have said. That's also what the Daily Telegraph and the Times have said. And it's also endorsed by our industry body, because we're a chartered financial planning firm, which puts us in the top 7% of all advisory practices in the country. Now, there's nothing special about me, but what is special is that we're helping our clients at a much deeper level than we were ever able to help them before. So on my journey through the financial services industry since 1999, I discovered that there's 6 key steps that you need to master if you want to create your dream retirement. So I want to spend a little bit of time telling you what those steps are. Because if you want to embark on something important, whether it's your retirement or anything, if you don't prepare for that, then there's no chance of it ending up happening successfully. If you don't prepare, you end up having to repair. And what do I mean by that with regards to your retirement? Well, if you don't prepare for your retirement, then you'll end up having to rely exclusively on the state, which around about £160 a week income. And so, I don't know about you, but I would need to significantly change my lifestyle to live off £160 per week. But if you don't prepare for your retirement, that's what you're going to be stuck with. Equally, if something unexpected happens along the way, then you will end up derailing your retirement. And if you don't use the smartest strategies, then you'll end up taking longer to get to retirement than you needed to. So if you don't prepare, you've got to repair. The second key step is if you want to build something that's beautiful, then you usually need to plan for it first. And with regards to retirement, if you don't plan for the future, then you have no idea whether you're on track. Whether you're on track to have enough money to be able to stop working when you want to, whether you're on track to have enough money to be able to retire when you want to. You know, maybe you end up working longer than you absolutely have to because you haven't planned and you don't know the resources you've got available. So if you don't plan, you can't see into the future. And if you're failing to plan, then you're planning to fail. The third key step of creating your dream retirement is then about making sure that the money that you sensibly put aside to provide you with an income in the future actually works as hard as possible for you. And so what do I mean? I mean that money needs to generate a profit. I don't mean a profit in terms of corporate terms, I mean a profit by growth over and above inflation. If your money is not growing faster than inflation, then your money is going backwards. If you leave your money in the bank account, your money is going backwards, not forwards, which means you've got to work longer and retire later on less money. So we've got to get our money generating profit. But most people take too much risk with their investments. And therefore, we need to get you the best returns possible for a level of risk that is both sensible and specific to your situation. So the fourth step is then about when you get to retirement, and then just in the kind of late years, just before retirement, at retirement, you've got to turn that capital that you've put aside sensibly into an income. That income for the rest of your life is known as a pension. So we've got to try and generate a dynamic income. And if we get this bit wrong, we end up being much poorer in retirement than we need to be. You know, I've seen so many people come to me. One particular client came to me having been made redundant a couple of years before he was expecting to retire, and yet it was going to be very difficult for him to go back into a different company. So he felt he'd let his family down. And so actually what we were able to do is re-look at these tools and work out how we could actually create the retirement that he wanted so that he hadn't let his family down. Now the fifth step, you know, as with anything, if you build something perfect, you build a lovely house, then gradually over time it goes into disrepair, doesn't it? That it gradually becomes less new and it actually kind of gradually, the quality of it erodes. And the same could be said with your financial planning. If you don't continue to evolve your financial planning, it will actually go backwards. So it's vital that your financial planning progresses with you. So that's the fifth step. We need to ensure that your financial planning progresses with you, rather than gradually stagnating as otherwise tends to be the case. And the sixth, but possibly the most important step, is the personal side of retirement. You know, what will you do when you stop working? Will you be bored? Will you be hanging around the house not really knowing what to do? Will you have a lack of purpose? You know, no reason to get out of bed in the morning? And will you, like so many other people, become a shadow of your former self and watch your health deteriorate soon after stopping work and having an all too brief, broke retirement, which is such a sad way to spend those years that you've worked so hard to enjoy. So we've got to master the personal side of retirement too.
So if those are the 6 steps that we need to master to create our dream retirement, how do we do that? How do we master each of those 6 steps? So an efficient portfolio, what we did was we created the smart saving solution, because if you want to prepare for retirement, then you need a system that is going to show you the most painless way to save for your retirement. How can you get to financial freedom the most quick way possible and the most painless way possible? So we've designed a system that will get you to financial freedom as quickly and painlessly as possible, but also make sure that if something unexpected happens along the way, that the plan isn't completely derailed. And that what you want to happen to your money actually would happen to your money if something unexpected happened. So we've got to use that smart saving solution to get us to retirement and financial freedom as quickly as possible. Then what we did was we created the Safe Retirement Roadmap. And the Safe Retirement Roadmap is how we help our clients plan for their financial future. It's about seeing into the financial future and seeing, well, are we on track to have enough money to be able to retire with the lifestyle that we want and when we want to be able to retire? And if we're not on track, what are the changes that we can make today or over the coming years that can ensure I do get on track for that dream retirement I want? It's also about looking at all of the existing financial planning you've put together and working out which bits are good and which bits aren't, because you need that money that you've already put aside through pensions and investments to get you to financial freedom as quickly as possible. Then what we did was, if we want to get our money growing and get the best return possible for a level of risk we're comfortable with, to generate a profit over and above inflation, then we built the Radical Investment Solution. And the Radical Investment Solution is all about getting you the best returns possible for a level that's right for your situation, but also that you're comfortable with, so that you don't end up derailing the plan yourself. So there's a number of steps there so that you do get the best return possible, get your money working as hard as it possibly can do. Then when you get to retirement, we need to create that dynamic and flexible income so that you can live the retirement that you deserve and that you desire. And so the dream income strategy is how we show our clients how to maximize all the money that they've accumulated, but also to make sure that it gives them the flexibility for their dream retirement so they can be ticking off the bucket list as they go, and also maximizing what's in the pot for those people that you leave behind after you've left this mortal coil. Then of course, because we've already established that things evolve over time, what's good today will gradually become worse and worse and worse. So we need to ensure our financial planning progresses with us. So we created the Progressive Review Program for our clients so that their financial planning does evolve with them rather than gradually stagnating. Always looking at how can we get better returns, pay less in fees, pay less in tax, every different solution, so that our plan is constantly evolving and making sure that we are still on track to retire when we want and how we want. And then finally, because it isn't all about the money, it is about creating the best retirement you possibly can, your dream retirement. So if we want to create your dream retirement, what we've done is we've put together the strategies that we think will help you spend an amazing retirement and also allow you to actually get fitter and healthier as you go through retirement rather than losing your health with old age. And we've put all of those strategies into the Life 2.0 approach. And it's these 6 models that I want to spend my time on this course with you, going through and looking at each of the steps of these models and saying, okay, what are the most important steps for each of those 6 stages to get you to create your dream retirement? And that's what I'm going to be working with you on. Because ultimately, if you want to create your dream retirement, you've got to prepare, you've got to plan, you've got to get your money generating a profit, you've got to generate a dynamic income, otherwise known as a pension, you've got to ensure your plan is progressing with you, and you've also got to have an amazing personal life as part of your retirement. So I hope you will enjoy this. And remember, if you make the same decisions today as you made yesterday, you'll get the same results tomorrow as you got today.